Each year, the 8th grade class goes down and they do a civil rights trip to Montgomery, to Selma, and Atlanta, and they really cover some of the fundamental areas and events that were pivotal to the civil rights movement. And that's an incredibly powerful experience for these 8th graders to go through.
We see things like we go over the Edmund Pettus Bridge and we see the Civil Rights Monument in Montgomery.
We went to Alabama and we saw poverty in Selma, and we talked to Joanne Bland, who was a part of the civil rights movement.
And she kept mentioning to us that we were the ones that they have been waiting for. And I realized that it was more that our generation is a generation that can definitely help, and we can do a lot. And it's really important for us to not just stand there and be innocent bystanders.
We were right in the midst of a huge historical event, and we learned so much more than we could have learned by just reading a textbook.
You can read in your textbook that 1,000 people marched on this day, but if you just hear the story of one of those people who marched, all of a sudden you realize the whole thing.
Just to hear a number in class doesn't mean anything, but to go out and see it, it makes you think.
Like those people that marched were a couple of people who decided they'd had enough, and they went and put themselves in harm's way to make a point, and they really succeeded in making that point.
One of the things about Gordon that's terrific that they do is the service learning component.
We want them very often to be moved through something they've learned academically to perhaps see if they can help assist in making a change. It's not just empathy, it's agency.
They're doing this now in a way that calls them out to take the thinking that they've been doing at Gordon School and apply it in the world.
Right now, my 8th grader is working at Amos House in South Providence, and really seeing and experiencing what it's like to give back to the community. It reflects how well Gordon has really thought out the curriculum.
There are groups of us are sent out to different places, a homeless shelter or a soup kitchen or a daycare. Or one of them actually is an adult education center too. Part of the mission statement here is to prepare students for the world beyond Gordon. Thinking about that, this is kind of the best way to do that.
It really sort of helps us realize that even though we may not think what we do and really have an impact on anything, just working with an immigrant for a day or a kid for a day and teaching them and helping them, it really makes a difference in their lives.
Then they also have to do the research piece of how well does this social service agency actually advocate for their clientele? How does this social service agency actually budget and find the funding and then use that money? Our kids in the 8th grade have to understand that.
You could imagine that when you were finishing an elementary or middle school education, the last thing you might do is let the kids out of the classroom. But I say that if you don't allow them out of the classroom at that point, they're not forced to apply their learning in a way that actually sticks to their rib cage. Can 13 and 14-year-olds do that? They are more inclined to do that than almost any other age.